Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking the code on those high-stakes 30-mark questions in A-Level Politics Paper 2. Look, if you want to know what separates a good answer from a truly great one, you are in exactly the right place.
So this paper, it all boils down to two questions, each worth a massive 30 marks. But here's the thing, and this is so important. They are not the same. They are two totally different challenges, and they require two completely different strategies. Getting your head around that is the absolute first step to winning.
So here's the bottom line. For one question, you're basically given a puzzle to solve. You have to analyze an argument that's right there in front of you. But for the second one, you have to build your own argument from the ground up, using everything you've learned across the whole course. Two different games, two different rulebooks.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to cover the golden rules that apply to both questions no matter what. Then we'll dive deep into the strategy for that source question, and then we'll look at how you can be the boss of your own essay. And we'll wrap it all up with a winning formula you can take straight into the exam. Ready? Let's go.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of each question, we need to lay down the foundations. Think of these as the three golden rules that underpin every single 30-mark answer you write. If you can get these right, trust me, you're already halfway to a top grade.
These three are absolutely non-negotiable. First up, balance. Every top-level answer has got to argue both for and against the prompt. It's a debate, not a speech. Second, precision. You have to use the right technical language. Don't just say the government. Say the executive. It shows you know your stuff. And third, no fluff. Every single sentence has to be working hard to earn you marks. No waffle, just points.
Okay, let's tackle the first type of question, and this is where we meet our first boss. For this one, the name of the game is working with, and more importantly, for the material you've been given.
Now, this quote from an examiner is the single most important thing to remember here. In the source question, the source is your boss. You must work for it. It dictates everything. You don't get to go off on your own tangent. Your one and only job is to analyze, expand on, and evaluate the arguments presented right there on the page.
And look at how this breaks down. Every single mark is tied directly back to that text. For your AO1 knowledge marks, you expand on a point from the source. For your AO2 analysis marks, you compare the different opinions within the source. And for your AO3 evaluation marks, you judge which argument from the source is the most convincing. See the pattern? It all comes back to the source.
So how do you actually do this in practice? You use the comparative Peel method. For each paragraph, you start with a point of debate you found in the source. Then you give evidence. That means quoting the source and then adding your own facts. Next, you explain the clash between the views. And finally, you link it all back with a mini judgment on which side is stronger. Simple. Now, before you even think about moving on, you have to run one final, crucial quality check. Just stop for a second and ask yourself this one simple but really powerful question. And here's the checklist that answers it for you. Have I referenced the source in every single paragraph? Did I bring in my own knowledge to build on its points? Have I used comparative language to really show that clash of ideas? And does my conclusion clearly pick a winner from the arguments in the source? If you can tick all four of those boxes, you've served your boss well. All right, let's get into the second 30 marker. For this one, the power dynamic completely flips. If the source was your boss before, well now you're the boss. The training wheels are officially off. And this brings us right to the other side of that examiner's insight. For the non-source question, you are the boss. The responsibility is all on you. You have to build the entire argument, pulling in relevant knowledge and examples from across the whole specification. You set the agenda. You choose the evidence. It's your show.
So, what's the secret weapon here? What's the key that unlocks that top mark band? It's something called the synoptic link. This is where you connect the specific topic of the question to a totally different area of the course. It shows the examiner you don't just know the facts, you understand how the whole political system clicks together. So what does this look like? Well, it could be linking a question on executive power to how the first-past-the-post electoral system tends to create huge majorities. Or maybe you connect it to the power of party whips and party discipline. Or you could even discuss how the media's focus can presidentialize a prime minister. Making these kinds of connections shows a really deep, holistic understanding of politics.
The Peel structure works brilliantly here too, but with one critical change. Your point still addresses the question. Your evidence is now your own, carefully chosen examples. But your explanation, this is key. It must contain a synoptic link.
That's the game changer. Then you finish by linking back with a judgment on how strong that argument really is.
And you guessed it, just like before. Once you've constructed your masterpiece, you need to do one last quality check. You're the boss, right? Well, it's your job to sign off on the final product before it goes out the door.
This quick check makes sure your essay is firing on all cylinders. Have I made at least 2 clear synoptic links? Is my evaluation properly analytical, using words like contingent or superficial to show nuance? And finally, is my overall judgment consistent from the intro right through to the conclusion?
Okay, let's bring all of this together. We know the strategy for each question type. Now let's just sharpen that edge by looking at the most common mistakes people make and what the examiners are really hoping to see in your answer.
These are the classic traps. For the source question, the biggest and most common mistake is just ignoring the source altogether. And for the non-source question, it's forgetting to be synoptic, which literally puts a hard cap on the marks you can get. Just avoiding these pitfalls is one of the fastest ways to boost your grade.
So what does a top answer actually look like to an examiner? Well, for the source question, they want to see you actively filtering that text, pulling out the best arguments, and then weighing your own knowledge against them. For the non-source essay, it is all about that synoptic breadth and building a really clear, logical chain of reasoning from cause to effect.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. Success in Paper 2 isn't just about what you know, it's about knowing which game you're playing. Are you working for the boss, or are you being the boss? Understanding that difference and applying the right strategy for the right question, that's what turns knowledge into marks. The only real question left is, now that you know the rules, how are you going to change your game plan?